glad you could join me on another edition of Handy Law. We are still on the series Nigeria's Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. Today we will look at plea bargain. A plea bargain is a negotiated agreement between the prosecutor and the defendant. The defendant pleads guilty to a lesser offense or to one out of multiple charges against him in exchange for some concession from the prosecutor, usually a more lenient sentence or a dismissal of the charges against him. The prosecutor is authorized to receive and consider plea bargain from the defendant and may also offer one himself. He may enter into a plea bargain agreement with the defendant with the consent of the victim and his representative. There are conditions that must be met before the prosecution can enter into a plea bargain agreement with the defendant. The first is where the prosecution evidence is insufficient to prove the offense beyond a reasonable doubt. Secondly, where the defendant has agreed to return the proceeds of crime or make restitution to the victim. Thirdly, where the defendant has fully cooperated in the case of a conspiracy with the investigation and prosecution of the offense by providing relevant information that will enable the prosecution pursue and prosecute other offenders. There are times when the prosecution is looking for a bigger fish to fry, so they will, in exchange for airtight information from an accused or a defendant, let him off on a lesser offense in order to pursue the masterminders of the crime. Finally, the prosecution may enter into a plea bargain agreement if they believe that is in the interest of justice, public interest, policy, or prevents an abuse of legal process. The prosecutor and the defendant, along with his legal practitioner, may, before he pleads to the charge, enter into an agreement in respect of the term of the plea bargain, which will include the sentence recommended within an appropriate range of the punishment stipulated for the offense, or a plea of guilty to the offense charged or to a lesser offense. Secondly, an appropriate sentence to be imposed by the court where the defendant is convicted of the offense he intends to plead guilty to. Where the prosecution believes that it is in public interest or the interest of justice to enter into a plea bargain agreement with the defendant, he may do so after consultation with the police responsible for the investigation of the case, the victim, and his representative. He must also weigh the following factors: the defendant's willingness to fully cooperate in the investigation and prosecution of other offenders, the defendant's history in respect of criminal activity, whether the defendant is remorseful and willing to take responsibility for his conduct, the desirability of a prompt and definite disposition of the case, the likelihood of a conviction at trial and the probable effect on witnesses, whether the defendant is willing to make restitution or pay compensation to the victim, the cost of trial and appeal, and so forth. The agreement shall be entered into with the terms of the plea bargain spelled out. All the parties must sign, including the defendant's counsel and an interpreter where one was involved. A copy of the agreement shall be forwarded to the Attorney General, and the prosecution shall inform the court that the parties have reached an agreement. The judge will then confirm from the defendant that he entered into the agreement willingly. If this is the case, he will convict the defendant of the offense. The judge may then do any of several things. He may impose sentence based on the agreement, but where he believes that he would have imposed a lesser sentence, he may go ahead and impose the lesser sentence. But where the judge believes that a heavier sentence meets the justice of the matter, he must give the defendant an opportunity to agree to the heavier sentence or withdraw his plea. If the defendant withdraws his plea, the matter will be set down for trial before another court, and nothing in the plea bargain can be mentioned in the subsequent trial. Hope this has helped us to better understand plea bargains. Please like, subscribe, and share.